Alright, welcome to Unit 4.6. Well, that was a hard one to struggle out. X and Y intercepts. You already know X intercepts because they're also the roots and the zeros. We've already learned how to find the zeros. That's where the line crosses the X axis. So the Y intercept, by logic, is where it crosses the Y axis. So you already know how to do half of this. But we're going to figure out how to do it graphically, and we're also going to figure out how to do it algebraically. Right? So, the point at which the line intersects the x-axis is called the x-intercept. This is the x-axis. This is where the line crosses the x-axis. That is your x-intercept. The point at which the line intersects the y-axis is called the y-intercept. Crosses the y-axis, it's called the y-intercept. The line crosses the y-axis right here. That's your y-intercept. Right? So, if we wanted to label them, the x-intercept is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The x-intercept is 8, 0. And the y-intercept is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 0, 8. We can use this knowledge, right? So to find the x-intercept of an equation, if we want to find this, we make this 0. Make y equals 0. We've already figured that. We can set the equation to 0 and solve for x. We can also do the opposite, right? To find the y-intercept, to find this point, we can make x 0. Make x equal 0. We can make the x equal 0 and solve for y. The same thing that works with our zeros, that works with our x-intercepts, also works with our y-intercepts. That's what I said. Remember, you're already halfway there. Alright, so using that knowledge, it says find the x and y-intercept of the equation y equals 3x plus 6. Alright, so if we're going to find the x-intercept, we have to make the y 0. So it's going to be 0 equals 3x plus 6. Then we just solve. X equals -2. So the x-intercept, when y is 0, x is -2. Now, for the y-intercept, we're going to make the x 0. Right? So it's going to be y equals 3 times 0 plus 6. Anything times 0 is 0. So we're left with y equals 6. So when x is 0, y is 6. That is our y-intercept. There you go. Alright, so it says find the x and y intercept of each equation. I'll do the odds, you do the evens. Alright, so to find the x-intercept, we make y 0. 0 equals -x plus 5 and solve for x. We use inverse property, we do the opposite. So this is -5 equals -x. And if you remember, I said if there's a negative in front of a variable, there's an invisible 1. So to get rid of it, you have to divide everything by 1. Basically, you're changing the signs. This was negative, now it's positive. This was negative, now it's positive. Right? So your x-intercept, when your y is 0, your x is 5. And your y-intercept, we have to make our x 0. So it's going to be y equals -0 plus 5 Minus 0 is nothing. You can add and subtract 0 and it changes nothing. So y equals 5. So when x is 0, y is 5. Those are your intercepts. That is where the line is going to cross your x-axis and your y-axis. Alright, same thing. Let's start with the x-intercept. We make y 0. 0 equals negative 4 over 3x plus 2. Get rid of the constant. Negative 2 equals negative 4 over 3x. Flip and multiply to get rid of the fraction. Because this times this is 1. And 1 can be invisible. They both have to be negative so you cancel each other out though. Be careful with your negatives. Right? But if you multiply that side by negative 3 over 4, you have to multiply this side. This is negative 3 times negative 2 is positive 6 over 4, which simplifies both can be divided by 2. So x equals 3 over 2. Now we're getting into fractions or decimals, right? So when y is 0, x is 3 over 2. It's okay to leave it like that. That's the answer. And if we want the y-intercept, we make x 0. So it'll be y equals negative 4 over 3x plus 2. Except instead of x, we're going to put 0. Anything times 0 is 0. So this whole term cancels out. We're left with y equals 2. So when x is 0, y is 2. We don't even have to draw the graph to figure out where the line intercepts the x and y axis. All we have to do is remember to set the opposite equal to 0. Because that's where it's going to cross. Alright, 5. Alright, same thing. To get the x-intercept, we make y 0. Look at it. Anything times 0 is 0. So we're left with 3x equals 12. Divide by 3, x equals 4. So when y is 0, x is 4. Now to find the y-intercept, we make the x 0. Anything times x is 0. We're left with negative 2y. Don't lose the negative. That's part of that term. It's part of the term. Equals 12. Divide by negative 2 to get rid of that negative 2. Y equals negative 6. So when x is 0, y is negative 6. It helps to remember that anything times 0 is 0. It cancels the whole term. Alright, so graphing intercepts. So we can actually graph using the x and y intercepts. Right? So if you can do the equation, think about it for a second. This one is super easy. Okay? If we want to find the x-intercept, we make y 0. When y is 0, x is 3. That's our x-intercept. That's our x-intercept. When y is 0, x is 3. Now to find the y-intercept, we make the x 0. Right, so our y-intercept, when our x is 0, our y is 3. Once you have 2 points, 2 ordered pairs, you can graph them. And that's all you need to make a line. 3 right, no up or down. Origin, up 3. We have our 2 points. We can draw our line through it, put our arrows on the end. Always remember, draw your line through it and put your arrows on the end. And because we know how this works, we can now use this to make more points. Because we know slope, right? Slope is rise over run. So to get from this point to this point, I went 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So I went down 3, right 3. So our rise over run is -1. Our slope is -1. So if I wanted to create more points, I would go down 1, right 1. Down 1, right 1. Down 1, right 1. I could do that all day. Because that's the slope. It's going to be negative, and it's going to be down 1, right 1. Because we understand how slope works, you can graph using the x and y intercept, and then find more points using slope. It's a trick that you might actually be really good at if you like visuals. And it'll take you a long way if you can figure it out. Alright, so to find the x-intercept, we make y 0. It cancels the whole term. We're left with 9x equals 45. Divide by 9. X equals 5. So our x-intercept, when y is 0, x is 5. And then to find our y-intercept, x is 0. That cancels the whole term. We're left with negative 15y equals 45. Divide by negative 15. Y equals negative 3. So when x is 0, y is negative 3. That is our y-intercept. Now we can graph them. 5, no up or down. 5 to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Always make your point dark enough and big enough that I can see that that's your point. Origin down 3. 1, 2, 3. So just by looking at this graph, I know several things, right? I know that my slope is positive. I don't even have to draw the line. I know my slope should be positive. I don't have to convert my equation. I know my slope is positive. All right? The second thing I know is the slope is 1, 2, 3 over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. My slope is 3 over 5. So if the teacher, me, asked you to plot the next point, you could either go up 3, right 5, which would be out here somewhere, or you could do the opposite, which would be down 3, left 5. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I could ask you to plot the next point, and you know that negative 3 over negative 5 is equivalent. It's the same thing. So instead of going up and right, I could go down and left, because I would have run out of graph. If you're listening and paying attention, you would know that. And so if the test question isn't graph your points, it's find the third point. Where would the third point be? And label it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Negative 5, negative 6. What if that was the answer? But you had to be able to find your x and y intercepts, correctly plot your x and y intercepts, find your slope, and go backwards. I don't know. I guess it depends on how well you were paying attention. Make sure you put the line through the points, not just to the end of the points. It has to go through the points, and put an arrow on the end, because that tells the reader, that tells me that the line continues on. All right, so you're going to do evens, so that's 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10. I think I'm going to try to use quizzes so that you can go back and check your answers. If not, when you bring them back, I will check your answers. Good luck.